beautiful people. Dr. April here. I am a licensed therapist, and I just want you to know that when I was in my 20s, I had no idea what I was doing. So I happened to fall into that trap, y'all, of hustle culture and living in survival mode and materialism and all the things. And there were some hard lessons I had to learn, and I'm going to share them with you today. Okay, so for all my Gen Z folks, go ahead and get your notebook, get your journals, because y'all are going to want to clock this tea. Okay. On this channel, we talk faith, mental health, wellness, and self-care. If you are new here, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date when I post a new video here. Okay? So lesson number 1, vanity will have you broke. Okay. Y'all, oh my goodness. When I tell you, okay, so first of all, if you don't know what vanity is, so vanity just refers to this preoccupation with how you look, right? And with your achievements, right? And so basically, in a nutshell, I fell into the vanity trap. And what that looked like for me, y'all, is that basically I fell into that trap of materialism. Okay, when I tell you I was spending more money than I could make, I was spending more money than I was making, okay? And so what that looked like to me, it was excessive spending on like beauty products, on clothes, on shoes, on jewelry, just all the things, right? Like, y'all, when I tell y'all, like, Shein knows my address, okay? See, back in the day, we used to shop at like Charlotte Russe. If there's any millennials watching this video right now, y'all go ahead and drop it in the comments. Come on, we used to shop at Charlotte Russe and Hot Topic. Where else we used to go shopping, y'all? Rainbow. I can't believe Rainbow is still open, y'all. Rainbow is still open. Like, we used to just shop, you know? And back in them days, like when I was in high school, y'all, yeah, it was definitely high school. I don't think in our early 20s we weren't wearing that stuff. But y'all know, what y'all know about that Flintstone jewelry though? We thought we were so cute, y'all. We had on the Flintstone jewelry. Oh my goodness. And you know, back in high school, like, y'all, that's when we used to wear the jersey dresses, the Air Force Ones, the Melissas. Like, okay, anyway, so y'all see where all my money went. But on some real stuff, y'all, vanity will have you broke. Like, just falling into that trap of like hustle culture. And, you know, essentially it was like you work hard, you play hard, and then you go make it rain. Like, we were just spending money on things, you know? For me, when it came to makeup, like, I remember when like wearing makeup started to become a thing. Cause see, when we was in high school and all that, y'all, we wasn't wearing no beat face. We literally used to just have on like maybe some mascara, a little bit of eyeshadow, girl, and some lip gloss. Like, it wasn't all this beat face y'all be having. Like, we wasn't doing all that. But anyway, like back then, you know, it was like, you know, I used to spend money on all the high-end makeup like Fenty and MAC and oh my gosh, so many other brands, NARS, like, you know, just trying to keep up with this trend of like, you know, looking my best. You know, when I think about it and I reflect on it now in my 30s, what it all boiled down to was that it was all about like trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? So not only was it like, okay, I need my career and my achievements to look good, but I also need to make sure that I keep up appearances on the outside. And y'all have to keep in mind too, like, we grew up in an era where millennials, we grew up in an era where we were watching music videos and all they talked about was, you know, you saw the women looking, you know, in the glitz and in the glamour. And then you also saw like a lot of the rappers and stuff, you know, everybody was making money and then they would go buy things, you know, it was like almost like a lifestyle. And I know many of us fell into the trap of that lifestyle. And, you know, it's crazy to think that like, just from seeing that, how much of an influence it actually played into my life and a lot of other people's lives. And maybe it's even affecting you now. And so I say this to say, trying to look cute will have you broke, girl. Okay. When I think about like in my 20s, like, you know, I got my first real job when I was like 24, I think. Was I 24? No, I got my first real job like when I was 26. And basically, like, I just remember like that being the first time in my life that I had like a salary, that I was making good money. And a lot of money went through my hands. Like, a lot of money was like wasted because I was falling into that trap of like hustle culture and into like materialism and buying so many things. I'm like, dang, like, I had so much money, but I didn't have the right mindset. And so had I been smart, girl, I would have paid them bills. I would have stayed in an apartment that was, back then rent was a lot cheaper than it is today, right? I would have stayed in my little cheap apartment. I think I was paying like for a 1-bedroom back then, like $700. Girl, I would have stayed in my little cheap apartment. I would have been saving and investing my money, really building my financial portfolio. But, that wasn't something that was a priority for me. Looking cute and having fun was more of a priority for me. And so when I think about this, y'all, like, had I been smart with my money in my 20s when I was making good money back then, I probably would have been able to retire in my early 40s. Like, seriously. And so I'm telling you this to say, don't worry about trying to keep up with the Joneses. Don't be worrying about trying to be cute, trying to look a certain way. Most of the people who are millionaires, y'all, they don't even buy name brand things. You will walk past them on the street and think they were broke. That's the type of mindset you have to have. Because at the end of the day, those clothes, those shoes, that money, that bag, you can't take none of that stuff with you when you die. Not just that, but it's not doing anything, honey, to add to your net worth. It's not doing anything to build generational wealth for your children, for your family. It's a waste, So instead of doing the right thing with my money, I chose escapism. I chose instant gratification and validation, right? Like just trying to look a certain way to other people. And that comes at a cost. It really does. It's ridiculous. I don't want this to be you. So I want you to be thinking about, seriously, like your spending habits. What are you spending your money on? What are you spending your energy on, your time on? And when I refer to escapism, I'm basically talking about like these occasional vacations. You know what? I worked hard. I'm off for the summer. I got this 2-week vacation. I'm finna just go and splurge on a vacation. And I'm not saying that you don't deserve to take a vacation or you shouldn't take a vacation. But girl, I'm talking about I was going on trips, okay? Several times a year, I was on a trip. I was gone. Like, bye. Y'all looking for me, honey? I'm laying on a beach somewhere in Mexico with a margarita. Like, what we talking about? For real, y'all, I used to be gone. Like travel became like my escape, right? My escapism from just the fact that I was really unhappy with this go to work and come home kind of lifestyle. I literally make this joke. I say this a lot. Like I'm literally the reason that Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. Okay. Like in 2023, y'all, I had 140 Amazon orders. Like, girl, what is you buying? Do you need all those things? Like what are we doing? And I'm still working on Amazon. I really am. I still am working on Amazon. I'm working on trying to be mindful of what I buy on Amazon. But y'all, it's so convenient. I love me some Amazon. Like I gotta do a little bit better. I'm honest, right? I'm being honest. I'm not perfect. I also have to do a little bit better with Amazon. Okay. Anyway, hey Jeff. Okay, so I am so funny. Okay, moving on. You got to stop letting money slip through your hands. You got to stop doing that. What you have to realize is as that money is slipping through your fingers, at the end of the day, everyone else is getting richer while you're getting broker. So think about that. All right. We're going to move on to lesson number 2. Ooh, this is a good one, y'all. So therapy is not a luxury. Okay. And I'm not saying that because I'm a licensed therapist, right? But I'm saying that from personal experience. What most of you all do not realize is that most of your therapists, a lot of us are your therapists because somehow or another there was something going on with us that led us here, okay? And a lot of times we have our own unresolved trauma and things that lead us into wanting to kind of work in the helping profession, that want to go and try to help and support people. And while that's a beautiful thing, and I don't regret it. And I'm happy that, the Lord led me here. I also can honestly say that I got here because instead of me focusing on trying to help myself, I thought that I would find more value, right? I guess you could say more meaning to my life by basically helping other people. So it's a weird thing that happens. We focus on helping other people instead of helping ourselves. And so, therapy isn't a luxury. And I'm going to give y'all Gen Z folks, y'all credit because y'all are going to therapy. Shout out to the Gen Z people, y'all going to therapy because most of the people that I see and most of my long-term clients, they're in their 20s. I love that you all are open to talking about your mental health. I love that you all are open to going to therapy and getting support and y'all are having these conversations around therapy and your mental health. Y'all are not playing about y'all mental health, okay? And I love that about y'all. But let me tell you something. In our 20s, therapy still had a big stigmatization around it, right? So like we weren't going to therapy. We weren't talking about our mental health. That's like and there's many millennials today. There are many millennials today who still haven't gone to therapy, for whatever reason. So I'll give it all that y'all are going to therapy, right? But there's also some of you who have not sought therapy, right? Some of y'all are thinking that there's nothing wrong with you and you don't need to go to therapy. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, we all have things that we need to work on. We all have things that we need to work through. And dealing with your stuff now is going to help you significantly in your 30s. I always tell my clients, like, y'all gonna be a beast when y'all get in y'all 30s because y'all doing this thing right now. Right now, you're investing in your mental health. Oh my goodness. Like, and it's a beautiful thing, and I did go to therapy in my 20s, but I did it kind of short term. I wasn't in it as extensive as I needed to be. And so I really didn't get to a space where I was doing my own work until I was like early to mid 30s, where I stayed in therapy for 3 years or so. And I have some videos about that. I'll drop them in the description box. But yeah, so like doing your therapy now is going to work wonders for you before you even get to your 30s. You are going to be just like, who is that? Okay, girl, like it's going to help you in so many areas of your life. Like, so if you haven't decided or thought about going to therapy or investing in your mental health, I highly recommend that you do that. So you have to go to therapy. Therapy is going to work wonders for your life. It is going to help you significantly. So I highly recommend that you go to therapy. Okay, therapy is not a luxury, honey. We all need to be in therapy. Like it is a requirement for your overall health and your well-being. All right, let's move on. Lesson number 3. Survival mode isn't thriving. Okay. I know a lot of you remember earlier I was talking about how like I kind of fell into the trap of like hustle culture. I think that survival mode is a big part of that, right? And when I say survival mode, it's basically like, if I could sum it up for me personally, it was like this refusal to just rest, right? So in my 20s, like I was chasing degrees. I was chasing a career. I mean, I was basically determined to meet every societal milestone known to man. Like seriously, y'all, like by 27, I had 4 degrees. Yes, I had 4 degrees by 27 and I've gotten married. Okay. By 28, I had bought my first house and had this huge wedding. Okay. So all the things, trying to reach all the milestones, doing the absolute most. And, sometimes I sit back and I reflect and I'm like, girl, where did you have all this energy? Because now in my like late 30s, y'all, I am so tired. Like, girl, like the 20s took a lot out of me. It is crazy. It took so much out of me. So girl, if I could tell you anything, slow down. Like slow down. You don't have to be trying to do everything, be super busy, trying to get here, to get there, all these things. Like survival mode will have you exhausted in your 30s. I mean, tired, child. And it wasn't until I was like 30, maybe. I would say not 30. It was like around my Jesus year. So I was like 33 at the time. And I was like, dang, like I'm like tired, I'm broke, and I'm unhappy. But didn't I not do all the things that, that was told to me? Did I not meet all these societal milestones? Did I not get all these degrees and to still be like unhappy? Like what is happening, right? And what I realized is that like I worked myself to the bone. Like I was so burned out. Like back then for me in my 20s, self-care was really non-existent. Like I would take occasional trips and stuff like that, but like I didn't really have a self-care routine. I would literally just go to work and then I would just come home. I mean, I did like have like a somewhat of a little like exercise routine here and there, but I wasn't really doing like the intentional and daily things to like make sure that I'm like keeping up with my mental and emotional health. And this is going to sound very weird, right? Because some of you probably thinking, well, isn't she a therapist? Like, doesn't she know what to do? I'm going to tell you right now. So it is very hard to look at yourself in the mirror, right? Like I said, most of us get into this field because we want to help other people. So I was so focused on helping other people that I didn't stop to take a look in the mirror and say, hey, well, what do I need to work on? And I'm going to be honest, working with that kind of therapist can be very dangerous. Luckily, I wasn't the kind of therapist that like, bled my issues onto my clients, but like we can have our blind spots, right? When we haven't done our own work. So it's important that you are with a therapist that has done their own work. And you might be saying, well, how am I going to know if they did their own work? That's something you can ask when you go to the consultation. You can just say, hey, so have you done your own therapy before? Did you find it helpful? I mean, that's a simple question that you can really ask. And I'll have a resource in the description box as well with this resource guide that I created. It's basically called 15 questions you should ask before you hire a therapist. So you can know before you even book that first therapy session or even after that first therapy session, so you can know if the therapist that you are with is the right fit. Okay, so I will have that linked in the description box. And I just realized that I haven't had you stop and hit that like button. If anything that I'm saying is resonating with you, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button as well so you don't miss a video when I post it here. So I know that many of you are also first generation college students. You might be the first person in your family to go to college. You might be the first person in your family to do a lot of things. And that was me, you know? And I just want you to know that living in survival mode just has detrimental effects in the long run. Like when I'm telling you, like poor mental health, you know, anxiety, depression, stress, burnout, girl, it's not even worth all of that. So one of the things that I would do differently if I could go back is that I would really, like I said, go to therapy, because therapy is a way that you basically can learn how to kind of get out of that survival mode. It can kind of help you tap into some of the blind spots that you have. And a lot of the issues sometimes are often rooted in our own unresolved childhood trauma. And so we don't even realize that we're living in survival mode because that's something that we witnessed our entire childhood, right? That was the norm to see mom in survival mode. That was the norm to see grandma living in survival mode, right? You know, all the things. And so, you know, to thrive, you truly want to invest in your mental health. Definitely develop that self-care routine. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to get in your 30s and be like tired, right? So just keep that in mind. All right. Number 4, beware of the comparison trap. Oh my gosh. So I know that many of you are probably feeling like you're behind. You're not where you want to be. You look at some of your friends who you graduated from high school with, from college with, and you're like, oh my gosh, like they're doing so well. They're performing so well. Da, 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 da. And I'm not where I want to be. Like, you know, I feel like I'm so behind. I'm getting left behind. Like I'm not married yet. I don't have a kid yet. You know, I haven't moved up in my job. I'm still not making the money I want to make. Like, don't fall into that comparison trap. The comparison trap will steal your peace. It will steal your joy. At the end of the day, your friends, your family members, the people you know, they're on their own journey. You're on your own journey, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to focus on yourself and what it is that you want to accomplish and not be so focused on what other people are going to accomplish. And I would say that the comparison trap was big for me. So one of the things that I had to do to really help me with that is I had to take some time off of social media. And I know that y'all grew up with social media, right? So you're like, Dr. April, what you talking about? Girl, you know I gotta get on TikTok. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, you want to protect your peace, right? And your energy at the end of the day. So if you know that seeing something that you weren't expecting to see pop up on your timeline is going to disrupt your peace, then I want you to go ahead and change some of your behaviors. So maybe one example, maybe you don't get completely off of social media, but maybe you just stop scrolling as much, right? Or not going to certain people's pages or timelines to kind of see what they're up to and what they're doing, right? So no searching. And maybe you unfollow some people, or you can mute people now. So you don't even have to unfollow them. You can mute them, honey, so you don't keep seeing their stuff in your timeline. Like, do whatever you need to do that's going to help you focus on yourself. And you have to remember that you are right where you are supposed to be. You're literally right where you are supposed to be, okay? And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. And I just want to look at this really quick from a Christian perspective. Like, at the end of the day, God is going to get you where you're supposed to be, right? So you don't need to rush, try to control things, try to dictate the trajectory of your life. At the end of the day, the Bible tells us that the steps of the righteous are ordered, right? So no matter where you're at right now today, no matter where you're heading, or even if you feel like you're going in the wrong direction, the Lord is going to make sure that he gets you where you're supposed to be when you need to be there, okay? And I know that sometimes we want things instantly, right? Like I said earlier, earlier, like that instant gratification is like a beast for real, because it's like, we want everything right now. We want everything right away. We want to see all of our hard work pay off like almost immediately, right? And a lot of times that's not always the case. And so I think focusing too much on the comparison trap can also put you in this mindset where you always feel like you're in competition with someone, always trying to outdo the next person. You're out here chasing all of these degrees and trying to continue moving up the corporate ladder. And I mean, all those things are fine. Like, it's fine for you to want to continue to achieve at your job. It's fine for you to want to continue to do well in your life and pursue your dreams and your aspirations. But you don't want to do it with the mindset that, oh my gosh, I have to do this because such and such is going to catch up with me. Such and such is on my tail. They're on my trail. Like, they're getting ready to catch me. Like, nah, we don't want to have that kind of mindset, right? And it's also about you remembering that like failure is a part of success. How we grow and how we learn and how we continue to pursue our dreams and our goals is through failure. Sometimes I think that failure is overlooked, and in reality, like, failure has a way of helping us achieve and meet our goals. And it's important to know that like you're not going to know everything. You're not going to know everything. You're going to have to fail to learn some things in life, and that's okay. And I know for all the perfectionists out there, you're like, failure. Oh, not me. Yes, you. You are going to have to fail, sis. You are going to have to fail at some things to be successful. It's a normal part of life. Okay. I wish somebody told me that in my 20s. Number 5, boundaries are a mental health skill, not a buzzword. Like, I see a lot on social media, people be talking about, girl, you better set those boundaries. Oh, I got boundaries. You better find your boundaries. Like, first of all, setting boundaries is so much bigger than a buzzword. Like, it is literally a skill. It is a skill that we teach in a therapeutic setting. In therapy, we teach you the skill of setting boundaries. A lot of times people think, oh, well, setting boundaries just means just saying no. I mean, that's a big part of it a lot of times, but setting boundaries is bigger than that. Like, setting boundaries requires specific skills like assertive communication, right? Learning how to say no, how to use the right wording, how to communicate, right? Without coming across as sounding rude or disrespectful, right? So a lot of times there's assertiveness training that goes into boundary setting as well. And it all boils down to like having effective communication. And if you don't know how to communicate effectively, you will never know how to set boundaries. Okay. So again, this also goes back to you making sure that you go to therapy so that you can learn that skill. Because in life, you're going to have to learn how to set boundaries with your family, with your friends, in your intimate relationships, with your coworkers, honey, with your boss. Like, this is literally a foundational skill that goes across the lifespan. So, you really, really, really want to learn how to set those boundaries. And this is kind of what happens when you don't have boundaries. One, people feel like they can run all over you. They can take advantage of you, right? And so oftentimes when we are afraid to say no, or when we don't say no, it's because we are dealing with some people pleasing issues a lot of time, or we're seeking approval from others, right? Or maybe we want some kind of validation from other people. So we just don't set the boundaries, right? And so at the end of the day, like, one of the things that I will say is going to be so important is that, like, one of the things I will say that happened to me in my 20s, a lot of the burnout that I experienced in my 20s was connected to me not having boundaries. Like, I was that friend that would say yes to everything and everybody, even if I was exhausted, even if I didn't have the capacity to go to the birthday party, to go to the baby shower, to show up here, to show up there. I was that friend who was at everything. And I didn't know how to say no. And this is another thing I want to say too, because a lot of y'all thinking that these friends are going to be around for a very long time. Let me just say this. A lot of times, and especially as you continue to grow and mature, and especially if you walking with the Lord, your friendships and your relationships are going to change significantly. So he's not going to allow people to come with you who are not good for you where he is taking you, right? Everybody can't go to the promised land, okay? And so you want to be mindful. I really encourage you, and this really isn't a lesson, but it is a lesson. This is like an add-on. I really want to encourage you to take inventory of your friendships, take inventory of your relationships, right? Because some of those people are not healthy for you. And I'm going to tell you this, good friends are not going to see you fall and just let you fall. Like, good friends are going to have your back. They're going to be there to support you. They're going to see you doing something you ain't supposed to be doing, especially if you walking with the Lord. They're going to be like, ma'am, ma'am, no ma'am, we need to get you all the way together. We're not doing that, right? And so if you have friends that'll sit there and let you sin and do things that are out of pocket, they're not real friends. What they're probably doing is taking that information that they see you doing, that negative stuff they see you doing, you fall into sin or you making mistakes, and they're probably going and telling other people about it, telling y'all other friends, So at the end of the day, you just want to take inventory of your friendships, making sure that the people that are in your circle, that are in your corner, are really like down for you, that love you, that are not jealous of you secretly, that care about you, who love you and who want to see you do well, who want to see you have a good life. And so, yeah, girl, you need to sit down and take inventory of them relationships, take inventory of those friendships, period. Okay. So do that. That's a part of your boundary setting. Do I need to set a boundary with this particular friend? Okay. So, yeah, I'll say that. In my 20s, I did not know what a real friend was or what a real friend looked like. I did not know that. And the more and more I reflect on myself, again, because I had not done my own work, I was that friend who was very in tune with what everybody else had going on with them. I wanted to be a supporter. I wanted to be a helper. I wanted to be there for people. In actuality, no one was there for me. And it wasn't that first of all, some of them probably couldn't be there for me because I wasn't allowed it, right? I was that strong friend, So at the end of the day, like, that's why people say check on your strong friends, because it's the strong friends that seemingly look like they have this facade that everything is just peaches and cream. They're looking like everything is just, okay, they're fine. Deep down inside, they're not fine. Deep down inside, they're probably hurting. Deep down inside, they're probably screaming and no one can hear them. So, at the end of the day, it's just about you understanding and being able to identify what a good friend is. A good friend is not going to come to you and tell you that someone else was talking about you, right? Like, girl, what we doing? Like, no. A good friend instead will tell that person that was talking about you that, hey, if you have a concern with my friend or with such and such, I think you should go talk to them directly, right? So we're not doing no messy friends, okay? So anyway, that's how I would deal with it today if somebody came to me. But, y'all might have another way of doing things, Anyway, number 6, money, 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 money. What y'all know about that? Anyway, money, honey. So y'all know I talked a little bit about this earlier. When I tell you financial literacy is more than just a credit score. Financial literacy is bigger than a credit score. Remember how we talked about earlier how money was just flowing through my fingers, like money was just gone, like it was just in and out of my bank account. You want to be mindful about learning about money. You want to be intentional about learning about your finances, how to manage your finances, how to manage your money. That is so, so important. And many of you probably have resources at your bank that you're not even familiar with. Like, money is bigger than just like paying bills and going on occasional vacations. Like, you have to learn how to make your money work for you. Like I said, if I could go back, I would be saving my money. I would be investing my money. I would be looking into different places that I could like invest my money in, perhaps EFTs. I would be looking at setting up retirement as well in my 20s, whether that's a 401k or making sure that you have, significant amounts of like life insurance. Like, that's also a big deal, so really just making sure that you're putting your financial resources in the right place. Another big part of that, I believe, is also tithing, so just making sure that you're being responsible with the financial resources that you have been blessed with. And I want to say this, a lot of us grew up in a state of like scarcity and lack. And so the thought of, allowing your money to leave your bank account to do something else for you sounds crazy, right? But like, it's because of that lack and that scarcity that we hold on to everything so tightly. And it's like, your money can't really do much for you if it's just sitting in the wrong bank account, right? Or if you don't have any money because you've spent it all literally going out and partying and buying clothes and shoes and jewelry, you know what I'm saying? So like, at the end of the day, taking your financial education seriously is critical. It is critical. And I think that if you start doing that now in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, you'll have better money management skills. You'll have a really good financial portfolio, all the things. And don't sleep on the resources that your bank might have, because at the end of the day, those resources will educate you. The people there can educate you. You can even get on a phone call and you can talk to a financial advisor. Like, that's something I didn't know was available until in my 30s. Like, oh, I can talk to somebody about my money. Of course you can, girl. Of course you can. What I kind of like is the 80-20 rule. Like, live off of the 80% and then use 10% for savings, 10% for investing, and really building up your emergency fund as well. There's also several like apps that will help you manage your money, that'll help you track your spending and things like that, so look into some of those things. Y'all can get on ChatGPT and ask, what are the top apps used for financial management, or what are some of the different apps or resources available that I can learn about financial literacy. I know one place that you can typically go to like watch free videos on different topics. You can go to Coursera. Like, there's so many different ways that you can educate yourself, not being afraid to talk to someone. If you know anybody who does have, good money management skills or that has a financial portfolio, don't hesitate to sit down and talk with them. I'm sure they would love to talk with you, to share some of those resources with you. Okay. So basically, be mindful of your money, girl. Be mindful of your money, child. Be mindful of your money in your 20s. Okay. Don't let everything that you bring in slip between your fingers, and so you're going to really have to get a hold of overspending or wasting money on things that you do not need. Okay. Some of y'all have about 20 subscriptions. Do you need all those subscriptions? Can we scale back some of them subscriptions? I'm just saying. Number 7, who you are becoming matters more than what you are achieving. Oh my goodness. This is so important, y'all. When I tell you, I don't care what nobody say, your character is so important. Your character is everything. Your reputation is everything. Don't nobody care if you making all this money, you got this great career, this good job, this nice car. But girl, if your attitude stink, right? If people don't recognize the person they see every day coming to work and the person that they see on the weekend, something not right. It's all about you maintaining a moral character, having a good reputation, right? Like, who people see in the light is the same person that you are when no one is looking. And so at the end of the day, to really achieve and to really get to where God has for you, your character has to be intact. He cares about our character. And if you are going through a pruning season where the Lord is like kind of removing different things from you, or he's revealing to you that maybe you need to stop cursing, or you need to stop drinking, or you need to stop smoking, or whatever it is that you're doing, at the end of the day, it is because he is concerned about our character. Your character will get you a lot further than your money. I'm going to say it again. Your character will get you a lot further than your money. And this was me walking around looking perfect on the outside. You are literally screaming on the inside, because it doesn't matter how many degrees, how many jobs, how much money you make, you cannot escape a bad character, right? So you want to make sure that you clean up what's going on with you on the inside so that you can show up as the woman of God, or the person that God created you to be. And you can't do that if you have all of these different internal issues going on. And again, that also points back to the therapy piece. But as you continue to also walk with the Lord, he will continue to perfect your character, right? He's going to continue to change you so that you start to want the things that please him, so that your desires and his desires align, right? They're in perfect alignment. It matters what you are doing when no one is watching, okay? Remember that, like, you're still growing, you're still evolving, you're still becoming. Right now, who you are today is not going to be who you are 10 years from now. So it's about you allowing yourself the space to grow, to change. And yeah, and I want to also say this, sometimes in that pruning and in that stripping, you're going to lose a lot of things too. You may lose your job. You may lose your car. You may lose your apartment. Some of you may be back at home with your parents right now. And I say this to say is that sometimes the Lord will strip us of things when he's trying to perfect our character, when he's trying to bring something else out of us, when he's trying to strengthen and encourage us. There will be seasons where you will feel like, gosh, I done gave up everything. Like, he has taken everything from me. He will, because he wants to make everything anew. He wants to make everything afresh. He wants you to be the best version of yourself you can be, so that when you reach that promised land, you don't mess it up or you don't freak out because, oh my gosh, this is too much. I can't handle it. So at the end of the day, like, he has a plan for you, and he loves you, and he wants you to be able to emulate all of the fruits of the Spirit, right? So that patience, that kindness, that goodness, that peace, that joy, that gentleness, that faithfulness, that power, all of the fruits of the Spirit are so, so important. And so some of y'all ladies too, who want to get married or who are married, like, read Proverbs 31 so you can see what a woman of or a wife of noble character looks like. Read it. It's so good. It's so good. All right. So y'all know I can't let you leave without giving you a little bit more of a spiritual insight. So I just want to talk briefly about how surrendering control shifted my mindset and the trajectory of my life. And so at the end of the day, from a young age, I was trying to be in control of my destiny, right? Like, if you are someone who has grown up and you've experienced a type of hardship in your life, then you know that, like, everything in you has always been trying to, like, run away from that hardship, right? And being in control makes you feel safe. It made you feel safe. It made you feel like, like, basically control equated to safety in a way. And so even chasing the degrees, the milestones, the promotions, all those things it's all about control. There was something on the inside of you that said, like, I can't fail. Like, I have to win no matter the cost. And there was a cost. Like, living in survival mode, like, for a decade is going to have a cost, right? It's going to have a detrimental impact on your mental health, on your emotional well-being, and just your overall well-being in general. And not realizing it, a lot of us were told subconsciously as a child that performance was an intricate part of our success. And so performing and succeeding and achieving was not only a way to escape the past, but it was a way that made us feel safe. We felt safe being in control of our destinies. And in actuality, I was married to perfectionism. I was married to idolatry. I was married to self-deception. I really believed that I needed to be perfect. Like, I had to put on this perfect image, when in actuality, vulnerability is key to your success. My pastor said last week at church, he was like, what type of leader would you trust more? A leader that puts on a veneer of perfection, or a leader that's vulnerable every now and then, right? Because even though we all may look like we have it together on the outside, none of us have it all the way together. And I think that it's important that we allow ourselves to find the beauty in our imperfections, being able to make some lemonade out of those lemons, girl. We have to stop worshiping success. And then another big part of, like, the self-deception piece was just believing that I was in control, that I could control everything. And then once things around you start falling apart, then that's when you snap, when you lose it. You're like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how much more I can take, And what it all boils down to is, like, we're really not in control. Like, the Bible tells us that the steps of the righteous are ordered. So if the steps of the righteous are ordered, then how can I be totally in control? That's something to think about. That's something to ponder on, right? So that it tells us that, like, God has a plan for our lives. He has a plan for our future. He knows exactly where he's taking us, right? And I love that scripture that says, like, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, for good and not disaster, plans to give you a future and a hope. And so that tells me that as long as we remain in the body of Christ, as long as we continue to follow the Lord, and as long as we stay at the center of his will, all things are going to work out for us at the end of the day. All things are going to work out for us at the end of the day. We don't have to try to control everything, right? So these are the lessons that I wish I'd learned in my 20s. I hope that there is something in this video that you can take away with you, something that you can start doing differently or implementing right away into your lifestyle. And I hope that this video was a blessing to you. If it was, make sure that you hit that like button, make sure you share it with a friend, and thank you so much for tuning into this video today. Bye. Take care of yourself.